Okay, we are back for making comic books. So I hope whoever tuned in to Elizabeth Choi is still with us. This session is going to be all about talking about comic books and what we do at Asiapac Books, kind of just sharing with people. And, you know, we really wanted to get more questions from our audience. And so with us, okay, this is our publisher, Leacock. So if you guys have any questions for someone who's been in the publishing industry for like 40 years, who founded this company and has been publishing comic books from since the 1980s, please drop some questions in the comments and we will get back to you. Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Okay.
Hi,
hello.
Okay, so yeah, that's all
Thanks.
from her for now. I will channel her spirit as much as possible. Yeah, so okay. Maybe let's give us thanks to Muhammad for the update. Okay, so today's session, maybe Viency, let's start with a Q&A. It's self-introductions.
Okay. Do you want to start first?
You start.
You can go ahead. I start. Okay. Yeah. So my name is Viency. I'm an editorial assistant editor at Asiapac Books. So I've been working with them since last year, since October. Yeah. So it's been quite a while. I used to study animation at NTU. Then I graduated, and so now I'm currently with Asiapac Books. Yeah. I like to read and write in my own time as well, and then in my free time, I like to play some D&D. Yeah. Guess that's about it for my self intro. What about you, Lingying?
Yeah. So I guess in terms of the self-introduction, I'm the manager / managing editor / salesperson / marketing manager / production manager and project manager at Asiapac Books. We're a really small company, as in we have been around for quite a long time, but
now we are very small.
Yeah, right now we're quite a small outfit, and in terms of what I do, I joined the publishing industry a few years ago. Before that, I was working in finance. And I have always loved to read. I grew up reading a lot of books because my mom was working in the book industry. And, I really love Singaporean comic books, especially like such a big part of my childhood. Like I used to read all the Mr. Kiasu books. Of course, like Return of the Condor Heroes, Celestial Zone, even those Bookworm Gang. That was a huge thing for me and my sisters growing up. So I think that's
folk tales and story about Singapore.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up reading all these comic books, and at that time, to me, I didn't realize like how special and like how difficult it is for comic artists in Singapore to get their work out there. Like, for example, the effort that goes into publishing these books is so time consuming. It takes so many hours of research on everybody's part. So that's how I decided to, I guess, join the book industry to work on the things that I really love and enjoy. And then right now, working at Asiapac, working with guys like Zaki, not to mention all the other artists that we're working with upcoming projects, that's really the most exciting part of the job. And I also wanted to, today we're also going to, we have another team member who wasn't able to join us today, but just wanted to share with you guys and give him a shout out. So we have another team member, Clement. Clement, he say amateur but I'm gonna call him a semi-professional. he's a comic artist. He's working on his own original comic series right now. Check it out. It's called Malayan. I think he has an Instagram account. I'll drop it in the chat. Yeah. So he draws. Actually, all of us draw, right? Viency, you graduated from foundation. I don't really draw, but I do some of my own like painting and drawing.
Okay, show them your dog.
No. Okay, yeah. So in terms of what we do at the office, yeah, Viency is the editor. Clement, he helps a lot with our operations and logistics, that sort of thing, marketing. Yeah, and then for for me, I just do everything else. So like for example, if you've been ordering books from our website recently, some of them will have been mailed out from my house. Like that's how we're dealing with this work from home situation. We're trying our best to keep things going as per usual for our readers, and really trying to be able to continue supporting the artists and writers that we work with. Okay, so actually we had been collecting Ask Me Anything questions on our social media platforms the last couple of weeks. And we got a couple of different questions. So Viency, I guess both of us, we can just give our own take on it.
Mm-hmm.
So one question is, what do we look for in books that we publish? So like say submissions. When we get a submission, what do we look out for? I think for both of us it's a bit different. So Viency, what's your view on that?
For submissions, okay, for Asiapac books, I mean, generally the kind of comics you always look at are very cultural, and the kind of content that definitely has to be a kind of cultural aspect to the kind of content that we're looking at, and something that is definitely meaningful and has content that will also be engaging for the people who might potentially want to read about like the topic like that. So it has to be maybe something fresh, and also still definitely has its cultural elements. Okay, I'm also, since I'm from animation, I'm also kind of partial to submissions that look really, that have like good character concepts or illustrations because sometimes submissions, when they send it in, they'll send it with some samples of their work. And I like to look at these kind of samples and see how the artist draws as well, and take a look at their style and how they implement this style into their story, and how they could potentially execute their story as well. Because sometimes the submissions, they could potentially send like maybe a short summary of the plot. Then after that, you can kind of imagine how this could go about. They could go about doing it based on how they write or the kind of art that they submit. So
yeah,
that's for me mostly, because I do tend to focus on story and art a bit more, since I'm part of editing as well. And being part of animation, I like to see interesting characters and characters that can be remembered. I think that's quite important for me.
Yeah.
What about you, Lingying?
So like I totally agree with you about that thing about memorable characters. I think it's so important. Like, say people, they will pitch us a story and then they'll say like, oh, this is a sci-fi story and it's about this thing happening, it's that thing happening. But if we can't even like relate to the character immediately, it makes it very hard for us to continue reading the story. So it's always important to have a very compelling persona that's front and center of the story. Like maybe it can be the main character, or say like, it can be like say a group of characters also. I think that's very important. And like say like we get submissions for different formats. We have picture books, we have also received comic book manuscripts, we also receive novels and whatnot. I would say that we definitely tend to look more at illustrated content. And our bar is not like, we don't expect you to send us like a full manuscript, but we do expect to see some pages of artwork and ideally character design. So having that compelling character design immediately for us, like it's something that wins us over immediately. And also I would say that like for the comic creators out there, don't be shy to send us your work in progress, because like nowadays, I guess we don't necessarily publish everything, and also not every project that we go ahead with will come out on time, will come out like on the schedule that the creators wanted it to. So everything takes it's always quite up and down, but it's an ongoing working relationship. So say like Zaki and Danny, Tina and Alan, like these teams that we worked with over the last few years. Yeah, like sometimes the project that happened isn't the first project that we talked about. And I think that's important for people to know that. Like when you approach us with a manuscript, it's not just about we die want to do this one project. It's also about meeting us, getting to know whether we can work together, and then hopefully that leads towards publication eventually. Yeah, so thanks for that. From Han Kwong. And also I think it was someone on Instagram that asked us that question. Okay, and then the next question is, okay, I guess like what do we like about books? So I mean we're all like we're all book people, right? So
history,
different perspective from different people. So shall we start with you wanna talk? Okay. Maybe I start with Yancy lah. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So, what do I like in a book, or is it?
Yeah, like, or why do you like working in the book industry? Why do you decide to join the book industry? What is it about books that you like?
What is it about books? There's a lot of questions there first. Okay, I guess I can start maybe about what I like in books. Okay, I mean since young, I think same as Lingying, I've also like been an avid reader. I mean, I'm always the kind that found like to get lost in the worlds of all the books that I read. Very often, like I when I was like a kid, right, I can like read a book and people can call me for like, I don't know, ages, and I can't hear anything. Like that's how engrossed I can get when I read books. So I think that's part of also the physicality of holding a book, where you know when you're reading and enjoying that book, you can really get lost within the pages and the flipping of it as well. And I like that physicality of being able to hold the book and enjoy it. Although now definitely books have also transitioned into e-books and books that have gone online, and that's something that I've also increasingly grown to appreciate. And I think like for me, I don't think I had like, for me, why I wanted to work in the book industry, I think it's always just based on the fact that I think reading and books has been a huge part of my life since I was like a kid. One of the reasons why I also went to Asiapac Books, when they actually reached out to me first through my through email. Yes, they came by to our NTU grad show for animation, I think, and then that was how I think I got in contact with them. And then so since I was also a kid, right, I also really enjoyed Asiapac's books. I think they were one, especially they have this series called Origin. It's like this Origin series. It's for Chinese culture. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that entire series like taught me like a lot of what I know now about Chinese culture as well. Because it is through that series that I gained a lot of interest in things related to Chinese, especially ancient Chinese culture. It's something that I still enjoy, something that I still create for, even in terms of what I write and what I read, or what I draw. I think I still enjoy that kind of visual aesthetic, the kind of cultural influences that you can get from the very rich ancient Chinese history that we have. So that's how and with that history that I had enjoying Asiapac's books, that's why when they reached out to me, I was immediately like, oh my God, they've like, this publisher has been such a big part of my childhood. They just reached out to me, and getting that opportunity to be able to work with them, I think that was, it felt a bit like, oh, I can be part of doing something like that, you know, helping out to be part of that industry, to maybe produce work and content that might have the same impact on others that it might have had on me. And I think that for me is something on why I wanted to join Asiapac Books. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Yancy. Like, I mean, it's very nice. You know, yeah, like I love these
It's
books.
something that I realize now, like a lot of things that I like in my past are like very easily interconnected. But you were saying, Lingying?
Yeah, I mean, actually, we don't, as in, we, most of the time when we do events, like, it's about our artists, it's about our writers, it's about the books themselves. So it's nice to have this kind of, like, you know, free chat. Like, I'm also thinking, it's also bringing up quite a lot of things for me. Like, you know, growing up, reading the origins books that you talk about. That artist is called Fu Chunxiang. He's a very talented artist from China.
Yes.
He's a cultural studies graduate, right? Yeah, and he wasn't a trained like he wasn't
Artist.
yeah he wasn't like a trained
Oh, he's
artist.
not. Oh, his art is so good though.
Yeah, like his art is like, you know, it's very charming.
Yeah,
Very
it doesn't have to be. Yeah, there's a lot of
yeah,
character with his work.
yeah, exactly. And there's a very like he does a lot of the visual research is there, like in his books. You know, when he draws the ceramics, when he draws the architecture, when he draws the clothing of
The clothing is very good.
yeah, I love those details. I thinking
Yeah.
like, yeah, you know, that's like, you know, that's what my world, that's what my imagination would look like. You know, that's what I thought ancient China looked like. And it was from, yeah, like
It really
looking at,
captures that spirit of it has like its inspiration in that kind of like Chinese art, like roots with how he draws the clothing and all the like the line work and everything.
yeah, there's so much research that goes into these books. And it's great because as in when you're a kid and you read these books, right, you're just like, wow, you know, all the information is there and you're soaking and you're absorbing all the information in a very easy way, but you don't realize you're learning so much. As opposed to say like, you know, let's say now you go out there and you try to search for visual references. That process of learning and understanding information is so different when you're not using a book. Yeah, so I mean, for me, why I like books is because, you know, it takes you on this journey, and I guess it's more, yeah, like it speaks to me because I'm a very visual person, and being able to flip the pages and really like travel through this kind of learning is very important to me. And yeah, so let me jump in with some comments that Clement gave us. So he said that why he likes books. Okay, Clement. Yeah, so he said having a physical collection of his physical books side by side on display is something that he appreciates seeing every day. And I actually love that he said that because Clement is someone who used to work in the library and he used to work in Kinokuniya. Like shout out to the NLB and Books Kinokuniya. Like we work with them constantly and they are wonderful institutions to have in for readers in Singapore. Yeah, and I think what he touched on is really important. Like, you know, it's so comforting to have your books around you. Like, I'm not sure about you guys, but I have a lot of books in this house. Like, this is maybe the only wall that doesn't, as in this room is maybe the only room that doesn't have a lot of books, but we have books floor to ceiling, shelves all over, and it's very comforting to me. And like, say, you know, this is a maybe mental health awareness response also, but you know, going to bookstores, going to libraries is very calming. You know, I feel like say the fact that there's so many library branches around Singapore and they're open for pretty generous operating hours. Like it's such a like reading is much more than just like about consuming content. It's also about putting yourself in a space where it's, yeah, like, you know, it's safe. You know, you're surrounded by knowledge, you're surrounded by people who have been putting in all this work all over so many years. And yeah, so like that's part of why I like books as well. um yeah, do you want to say something? Okay, never mind. Okay, so for just for everyone's help and reference, like my mom is sitting next to me, but yeah, like if you guys got any questions for her, like, you know, feel free to,
Hello, everybody.
yeah, you can leave comments. I mean, you can leave questions for her in the comments. So yeah, like talking about reading, like, you know, my mom is such a huge part of my reading experience when I grew up. She always, so we had one bookshelf in the house, like a small shelf full of children's books, and it was always filled with new books. So it's like, you know, like going to a bookstore every day. But it was all brought home by my mom because she would have all these sample books from writers and artists and new books that she published as well. So that was what I read growing up and why I'm very attached to books, even as an adult. So I would encourage everyone here, like, please, you know, when the circuit breaker is over, go to the library. Or in fact, you can borrow ebooks on the library app now. You can also go to bookstores, go to their online stores, and really support these spaces that are dedicated to book readers. I think the whole industry is going through a really hard time, and we really need all the support that we can get. And yeah, hi to everyone who's in the chat. Yeah, okay, so that went on for quite long. Hey, hi to, yeah, and okay, that went on for pretty long. Okay, so moving on. Yeah, okay, today we wanted to share things that we're reading. So actually for Yancy, do you want to go first or do you
You
want?
can go first, I think.
Okay, so yeah, we today we wanted to share things that we're reading lah, because everyone at home during circuit breaker, like I think reading has been a big source of comfort for everyone. And I want, yeah, like, you know, actually we are very curious what you guys are reading. So like, you know, let's say if you're watching some shows on Netflix or following some new YouTube channels, or you know, there are quite a lot of cool live streams going on in the Singapore like Facebook sphere. I think like I see it pop up on my feed every now and then, like there are some artists, art spaces, writers, social cause leaders who have been doing live streams. So I mean, do feel free to say hi in the chat if you have a live stream or a thing going on. And now let me share with you guys. Okay, so I'm not sure whether Mitch is on the in the audience today, but I want to share something that is quite. So we have this particular artist called Shen Hua that we work with, and I will, yeah. So he's been working with us on a book called, yeah, he's been working with us on this book called Legend of Ma Zhu, which is a illustrated Lian Huanhua style kind of comic book about Ma Zhu. And who is Ma Zhu? She's a very important Chinese goddess for the Chinese diaspora. She's a guardian angel of seafarers and, yes, and immigrants. So, you know, while her story might not be so well known in China itself, she's actually a very important character for Singapore and for Taiwan. All these,
Immigrant
yeah, all
society.
these big immigrant communities and society. Yeah, so the comic book, or rather the comic series that I'm sharing today, yeah, is by this artist called Shen Hua. And I don't know if many people on Facebook has seen this, but it's really,
Kankake also.
yeah, it's really very good. So this is just a quick like scroll through of the story. Yeah, I mean you have kids like behaving badly, hanging out in Chinatown, and yes, it's in Chinese. Sorry, um, I hope that we can do a nice translation eventually. But yeah, like if you look at it, like the art style is amazing. The story and the characters are so there's not so much story yet, but the characters are really very compelling and very interesting. And yeah, you have all these like little details that are very true to Singapore of that era, like, you know, all these, yeah, okay, it's a little bit violent and there's a little bit of kind of like I don't know, expletives and whatnot, but I think it's a very beautiful comic, and I think that everyone should really check it out. And yeah, so that's one comic that I'd like to recommend to everyone to read. It's called Gangster Days. It's on Facebook right now. I think the the page probably has like, I don't know, like less than 50 followers or something, but you know, do head over there and check it out. Why not, right? Okay, so Viency, how about you? Like, you can also share screen. Hey, so Shenhua is in the comments. Yeah, so congrats on releasing this awesome comic strip. I think it's really, yeah, it's really something special, and I hope that more people get to see it.
Talk about the cartoon.
Okay, so Viency, over to you.
Oh,
Anything
okay.
you
So for me, right, actually, I guess it's a bit of background info is that I originally I think compared to Lingying, I'm not as in tune with local literature and local comics in the past. I think it's very recent that I've started exploring more of like comics and local lit. So right now, right, actually, for me, there's this comic artist that I really like, which interestingly I found through our new Comics SG website. I'm not actually like trying to plug it, but I did find it on there. Like I was like looking through at our list of artists, and there's this artist that I really like. Like his style was something that I really appreciate. Um, his this artist called Benjamin Chi, who also goes by Char Siu Space. So yeah, so actually I've downloaded like some of his comics, and I downloaded one of his comics so far that I'm reading right now. So that's his main Char Siu Space comic, which is like his kind of like his brand, right? That's the comic that kind of gave him his name. And then now he has also other comics that's released on Gumroad that I'm also reading as well that I really like. I guess I can share screen. Let me see if I can find the comic first.
Yeah, Benjamin Chi, if I'm not wrong, he was part of Koch Studios when they released.
Yes.
I think his title was which one? Kung Fu Do, is it? Was it Don Mu?
I can't.
I can't remember exactly now, but hey, if Benjamin Chi or any or other like any of his fans are in the comments, like, hey, please remind us, like, we're kind of slipping out our mind right now. But we have so many great local comic artists. I hope that everyone here can head over to comics.sg, browse around and see what artists you can discover. Oh, and yeah, Mitch says hi to Licop. Yeah, okay.
Hello.
Yeah. Don't worry, she's here with us, but yeah lah.
It's back.
Yeah, she's backstage lah, backstage. So yeah, thanks mom for supporting the event. I think doing something online is very intimidating for her. Okay, yeah, Viency, do you want to share your screen? I can put it in.
Yeah, sure. Let me try.
Yeah, and okay, I saw your question. Okay, so there's one art book of illustrations. Okay, and then there's one.
Is it working?
Okay, so we'll get to your questions after Viency's talked about this comic strip she's reading. Ooh.
Yeah, so this is, I think, one of these first comics that's part of his.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I really like his very graphic style and the kind of details that he does with his ink work, especially when we go into like the city. Like it's so, the way he does his shapes and he draws his characters is very interesting. And it's very visually appealing. It's very visually appealing. Like even though there's a lot going on the pages, I think it's still really clear.
Yeah, it's very crisp. Like this kind of the black and white balance is really good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've recently been really into. So I'm now looking into his other comics also. I saw this on what?
Gumroad.
Yeah, it's on Gumroad. So he has all his comics on Gumroad. I think currently this comic right now that's here, this one's actually free. So if you guys want, you can just go on to Gumroad, I think search up Char Siu Space, and then you can just get, it's pay what you want. So if you want, you can also choose to give a small amount to the artist to support him as well.
Yeah, that's really great. I think these paid platforms are really important for our local creators.
I think
Like-
Gumroad is sorry, yeah.
No, I just want everyone to know that, like, nobody really gets rich doing books. Like, it's
Yeah.
our artists. A lot of them have full-time jobs, and a lot of them they work with us on freelance basis. So it's not really, like, say, royalties from a certain project, or even like commission fees for a project. It's not enough to keep them alive. But say, like, when they do regular content, and you can contribute, like, say, $1 a month on Patreon or whatever platform that they use, it goes a long way. It gives them that stability to continue creating their work. So we really encourage everyone to check out these artists and support them on their platforms, whether that's like Patreon or Gumroad or Webtoons.
Yeah, these platforms are very important to the survival for a lot of artists now online, especially since because of the global pandemic, everything's closed. I think a lot of artists have been slowly branching out towards online shops and things that they can't do. They can do online because now they can't have offline booths or shops that they used to do. Especially now with all our exhibitions, all the events all closed. Like I know all those events like Dojima getting pushed back, for example. Yeah, a lot of artists depend on offline events like that. So because they're now so uncertain, everything try and support your artists online as well.
Yeah, I think in Singapore it's very important for us to really, like, let's say if there's an artist that you support in Singapore, we're a very small country. This person is really, you should try to see him as like a friend. There's almost no degrees of separation when these things happen. And so, your support, when you support these people, like, make sure that it's known, try to connect with them, support them on their social media platforms. And yeah, like, you will be a part of their work. I think that's something that's very important to think about when we enjoy and read these things online. Like, you make a big difference as a viewer. It's not that you're an anonymous spectator. Like, every viewer counts for a lot of the projects that we work on. Yeah, so okay. I also wanted to share, yeah, that's right. Okay, I wanted to share this other comic that Clement introduced. So the artist is called Ho Wei Rong, and he has this webtoon series. So I'm just going to show you guys this comic series, and yeah, like, let us admire how nice it is. So it's on webtoons, which means that it's a kind of scrolling format. And yeah, this artist has a really nice style, really awesome coloring. Yeah, and his independent work, this is what Clement said earlier. Clement said that Wei Rong's independent work is a great inspiration to self-publishing comic creators such as himself. And the awesome thing is that you can read these works online for free, and it's very high quality. Yeah, these are really cute characters, and it's all on webtoons. So yeah, like, we love digging up like creators like this in our work. It's super fun, and we're super happy to be able to share them with on during events such as this. Cause yeah, like, let's say right now during this circuit breaker period, like, watching Netflix shows, like, yeah, like, since you're looking for something to read or something to kind of, yeah, to something to appreciate, like, why not check out some of our local comic artists, support. Like, it's the best time possible to learn and reach out and find out what they're doing. Like, everyone's very active online right now, so there's a lot of new things coming up. And yeah, like, I honestly don't see it as like, oh, the society is at a standstill. Actually, there's still a lot of creative work going out there. So do visit comics.sg, and do, like, stay online for our other events today, because then you'll get to meet and hear from some of these other guys later on. And yeah, let's start. Sorry, Viency, we're going to go answer a question. Okay, maybe this one I'll take it. Okay, publishing an art book of illustrations. Okay, yeah, I think for art books or illustrations, I would say, like, anything you want to publish or submit, it varies from project to project. We are very open. We are very flexible when it comes to formats for illustrated books. I think like say our readers, they'll know that when we do comic books, it varies a lot. It can be illustrated nonfiction, or it can be really like panel comics, or it can be one panel. There's a lot of different ways that we do comic books. So yeah, email us. We have a submissions page on our website, asiapacbooks.com. You can read more about our guidelines over there. Okay, so that's a quick one. The next question from Azikin Radzwan. Yeah, you were asking us what's the hardest part about publishing a comic book locally. The editing, advertising, or something else. So yeah, I think it's different for different people. Viency, do you want to answer this first?
I mean, since I'm part of the editing team, generally the most complicated for me would be the editing. Depends also on the comic sometimes, really, because some comics, maybe the art requires more work or the writing requires more work, and it all comes down to it's dependent usually on the work itself that we get. Usually I feel like the submissions that we get or the manuscripts that we work on, they're usually very different in terms of content. So it's also making sure to being really able to like orient yourself between these types of works. So like sometimes we have more comics related, more fantasy, maybe. Okay, so for example, we talked about Sacred Guardians earlier in the day. So this is very fantasy oriented comic. But maybe for example, for Elizabeth Choi, it's a very historical, very factual, kind of a biographical comic. So the way these comics like this are edited, it will also be different. The treatment of comics like that will be different. So you have to really also get more background information about the comic, be able to orient yourself and think differently for the comics that are involved. Personally, I do think marketing is a bit difficult as well. But talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, Viency is absolutely right. I think in Singapore, marketing is quite a big challenge. Like even we're a small business, and like most other small businesses in Singapore, we have very limited budgets when it comes to marketing and media. And say for books, right? I think in Singapore, we are so fortunate to be able to read books from around the world. Like in Singapore, we read a lot of international bestsellers. We read, like say, English books and Chinese books and Malay books from Malaysia and whatnot. We are very open economy, and we have access to a lot of fantastic content from around the world. So that's a good thing, but it also makes our local book industry have to face a lot more competition when it comes to like marketing space. And so like sometimes people, they're like, oh, do I need to, I'll support it if it's good. Let's say people have that kind of attitude towards local creative works. Like say it can be an artist, it can be a book writer. But I think it's very important for us to have the kind of mentality where, like, when you look at a local creation, you try to think of it as, this guy is your friend, this guy is your neighbor, and would you support your friend and neighbor, his first comic book, his first art show, his first album? I think we should all try to take that kind of positive attitude towards the works. And so like in the way that we do our marketing also, I mean, say like Facebook, Instagram, there's a lot of money that you can pump into internet advertising nowadays. But I would say that it's getting harder and harder for creators and businesses to access their viewers and their readers. And so it's very important to have a more direct connection and to keep engaging with us on these platforms. Like say, we're very grateful to our Facebook followers and like to people who subscribe to our mailing list, because we are always putting up new updates over there. And that's kind of the most important marketing channels that we have now. And like the other most important marketing channel that we have is offline. Like we love going to schools, we love doing events at libraries, we love doing events at bookstores. And right now it's like we have no idea when the next book fair is going to be. We have no idea when is the next time we can do an event in a bookstore. So that's a really huge challenge for us right now in terms of in terms of what we do as publishers. I think something that I want to share with you guys also is, like, say, publishing, right? Like, creating a comic book is one thing, creating the work is one thing, and then publishing it is a totally different process. Like, creating the work is about creating the work, and then publishing is about creating the audience. So how are we creating the audience? Like, we're trying out a lot of new things right now, live stream. Yeah, I mean, please give us your feedback. Let us know if it's going well or not. This is totally new to us, and yeah, we're very excited to see what kind of people we can reach out to online now, and also to keep working with bookstores as they try to go online as well. Like the Singapore Book Fair, I think the Asian Festival of Children's Content, like all these events are going online. So yeah, do support these functions, like especially if you used to visit these book fairs yourself, like definitely check out what they're doing online and try to stay connected. And yeah, that's all for me right now.
Singapore Book Fair is online.
Yeah, Singapore Book Fair is online right now. I believe it's happening this
End of the month.
yeah, the end of May. And yeah, the next okay, so now we're going to talk about upcoming projects. Yeah, so the what we have today is we're going to talk about some of the upcoming projects we're excited about. Okay, so Viency, do you want to go ahead for this one first?
Upcoming projects. I think we've talked about a lot of upcoming projects today that we mentioned through our live stream. So Sacred Guardians, Elizabeth Troy, both of which I'm very excited for. I think there's one work that's coming up that we haven't really talked about yet. The Legend of Matsu, I think you mentioned it just now. I'm very excited for this one as well. I'm currently editing for that book also. The style of this comic book is very different from our usual comic titles. So the way that we've kind of structured that comic is in a very kind of like classic Lian Hua style. If you're familiar with that kind of comic style, it's a bit like it's a fairly old style from back in the day, but I think like it's very, very. I think that's the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the art designed by Sheng Hua, very good, very good. Yeah,
okay,
good. I love it. I love the colors for this one. It looks very lively.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like this is such an interesting project for us to be working on.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so Mitch is in the chat also, like, which is great. Thank you so much. Actually, Mitch, he worked on a lot of projects. He has worked on projects with temples before. So when we talk about the visual element of creating books, right? Actually, Mitch is a great artist. Like, he has done so much visual research for us. And like when he draws all these things, you can be absolutely sure that that a lot of thought and care has gone into it. The colors that he chose, the motifs that he used, the kind of materials that he represents in the books, right? They're all very, very researched. And I think that's really exceptional and why the book is something that's really exciting. Yeah.
And for Matsu's stories as well, like the stories we've collected here, usually her stories are quite scattered. So there's not a lot of like written collections where we kind of compile her work into like a very linear order. So that's what we tried to do with this book. Where we tried to give her story a bit of a cohesive arc, as well as give you extra like snippets of her adventures as well. Because the Goddess of Matsu, like for me, I only found out about the goddess after I started working on the project itself. But she actually has a really long history that extended, that started from the Song Dynasty all the way till now. And she has like her impact like that she's made in Chinese diaspora has lasted for decades. So I think for a figure like that, it's important to be able to tell her mythology, tell her story as well. Because we do hear a lot of, there's a lot of different kinds of mythology that we like to read about: Roman mythology, Greek mythology. So I think we also like to be able to talk about our own Chinese gods and goddesses, which is something that Asiapac has been doing for a very long time with the kind of titles that we're producing. So I think Mazu is also a perfect topic to talk about as well for us.
Yeah, super interesting. Like, I mean, we don't realize, but in Singapore, you know, like any temple that's like I think the Tian Hock King temple, the Ye Haiqing temple, these are the first temples that the Chinese settlers in Singapore built, right? And they were all built to worship Mazu because she was the guardian angel of the seafarers. And in Hong Kong, you have this MTR station called Tin Hau, and you have these amazing Mazu temples in Hong Kong, and in Taiwan. There's a huge Mazu festival every year, actually around this time of the year, like in April. Yeah, so it's good to, yeah, I think it's really nice for us to be working on this project that has a lot of history and you know, cultural relevance in it. And also it's something new, you know. A lot of people, when let's say you look at this style of illustration, you might think like, oh, this book has been around forever. Actually, no, you know, we're still creating these stories now. You know, these legends are not that they're a big part of our cultural identity, and yet they've not been organized in this fashion before. So that's really exciting part about this project. Okay, and Viency, do you mind? I'm going to introduce one project that is actually very early stages. So I didn't.
Complicated.
Yeah. I didn't plan to talk about it today, but my mom, as in Lee Kok, our publisher, she has asked me very kindly to mention it on her behalf. Okay. So I'm not sure if you guys recognize this guy over here. Yeah.
You want to make the screen bigger because it's in a very small format. Yes.
Yeah, so we got, this is Tankaki. Yeah, like for those of you who go to Chinese, like say the Singapore Huiguan schools, like I'm sure you all know who Tankaki is. He's a very important pioneer, like a, what do you call it? Like a pioneer of, yeah, he's a pioneer of Singapore. Like shout out to our latest illustrated book by Ellen Bay, Pioneers of Singapore. So we have actually done up this we've been working on this book with artist Zhou Yiming for a couple of months now. It's all in Chinese now, so we are going to do a translation into English, but it's about the life of Tankaki. Again, like, you know, we love doing stories about historical characters in Singapore because there's so much. Like they went through so much. Their lives were, you know, they came from very humble backgrounds. They've been through very, very difficult times, and there's always a lot that like you know, I guess for our comic artists and the writers that we work with, also after they do the research for one project, after that they just love doing free stuff because you know, like
artist for Limbo Sing.
yeah, so this artist, Yiming, he's the same artist that did Limbo Sing. Wonderful, wonderful artist. You should definitely check out. He did Stanford Raffles and Limbo Sing. And, you know, I guess we attract this kind of history-loving comic artists to join us. And now he just finished up this manuscript about Tankaki, and hopefully it'll be out pretty soon, maybe next year. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so, okay. Just going through the comments real quick. We're in the last 10 minutes now. So like if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat. I'm going to give you guys what Clement said was his most exciting upcoming project now. Okay, so for Clement, the project that he was most excited about, he's very excited about Sacred Guardians. Yeah, so this one we talked about it at around when we started out at 2:00, we had Alan, Ideal, Basil, and Ming Yao on a live stream with us. And talking about this book, Sacred Guardians, okay, I'm just going to put it as the background so that people have a little bit of an idea. what we are talking about, although this is not a very big view of it. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a quick summary about Sacred Guardians. It's a mythology. It's like a kind of superhero story that's mixed with our ancient Southeast Asian mythology, and it's the prequel to a TV series, a tokusatsu TV series that the guys have been working on, which is a project like more than 10 years, I think. Seven, quite almost 10 years in the making. So it was really sweet. Like, you know, these guys, they approached us a couple of years ago asking us like, hey, you know, we have this series for for television that we're working on, but we wanted there to be a book as well. And then they pitched us the story. We loved it immediately because the lore is very rich. The characters are very, you know, are very interesting and is very connected to our own identity as people who grew up and live in Southeast Asia. So like, you know, you have Singa, the what do you call it? Like the kind of Singapore god, right? Viency, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, and so what Clement said about it is that, you know, it's shaping up to be a really fascinating title, and he loves a generous serving of action scenes in a comic book. Yeah, I would say that the action scenes in this book are really, really great. Like Alan, I mean, we're very, very lucky. We've been working with Alan since his first comic book, Once Upon a Singapore Traders, that came out in 2018. And I cannot get over how good Alan is. Like, he's just really talented, really fast, really skillful, and his work keeps getting better and better. So like we just wrapped up another project with him called Pioneers of Singapore. Very nice illustrated book that profiles like different important pioneer personalities in Singapore's history. And then now he's working with us on Sacred Guardians, full steam ahead, no break right now. And yeah, like what he's managed to come up with is really like, I think it's a very well done comic book, a very, very interesting story. And it's part of this bigger franchise and bigger story that I think is going to really like, you know, leave a mark in pop culture in Singapore. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what the response is like. And so Sacred Guardians is going to be out in the second half of this year. Like a lot of things were pushed back because of the COVID-19 virus outbreak. But yeah, you know, it'll be out soon. And again, shout out to Alan Day, one of our favorite, I don't know lah. Okay, I won't say favorite. That seems to be a bad idea. But he's really like an artist that really inspires me. Someone like, yeah, like I think Viency and I, we both have this experience. Like when he sends us updates on email, it's like, did you see this? It's so good. You know, that's the kind of response that we have working with him. And I can assure all of you that like, you know, it's like, this is not super exceptional also. Like, you know, in Singapore, there's so many talented artists and they're all just, you know, we just need to kind of keep our eyes open and keep a lookout for them and, you know, try to support them in their careers throughout, no matter what. And yeah, so, okay.
Yeah, Alan is like so fast with how he draws. Like, even, I think there was like last year, you know, we have SG, we went for Singapore Comic Con, so we were boothing for that, and we actually invited Alan down for like a book signing. So what he was doing also, in addition to his signings, he was drawing like little cards of illustrations that he would just like finish in like, I don't know, like 1 minute, like it's like a cute little drawing. And he had like a small stack of it that he drew. And he didn't draw, he didn't have like any prior sketch or anything, he just drew directly with markers on like a card, which to me always like, I just love seeing that happen with artists, because I myself, I'm super, I get super,
Alan's online. Alan's on the chat.
Oh no, but it was really good. But Alan, it was really good because I don't know, I get very scared when I don't have like line art down, you know, like when I have a pencil sketch and then I draw on top of it with a marker. I don't know, for Alan, right, I just found it that you were like so brave with just drawing immediately, and it's really fast also. So that also, it was already for simple sketches like that, and that he can translate it into his work as well with that same kind of speed and not losing out on quality. And I think that's really amazing. That's something that he can do with all his works. Mm.
Yeah, and yeah, I think okay. So right now we're in the last. I mean, we're going to start wrapping up this session. So this is yeah, like Alan's in the chat, by the way. So those of you who are fans of his work, like, you know, really give the guy a thumbs up, man. He's one of Singapore's, like, he's a huge talent. Definitely someone to watch if he keeps producing at the rate that he's been doing. So, like, you know, I think, yeah, like there's so much to look forward to and so much to kind of keep up with in terms of our local comic artists and local publishers as well. And then yeah, okay, so I think, yeah, closing comments. Okay, yeah, like the last thing I guess we want to say with the making comic books session is we hope that you guys will stay in touch with us. Like we're a book company, you know, we deal with physical products and we tend to do our events. We do a lot of events face to face, like schools and whatnot. But you know, in this time, we're trying to reach out to more people online. So if you are tuned in today, please, you know, go and check out our social media channels. You know, we post pretty often, you know, and we're trying to get better at it. And we really appreciate like any feedback that you have. You can leave feedback in the by SingLit survey form, which I will paste it in the chat afterwards. And also like yeah, stay in touch with all your favorite comic events and comic creators online. You know, we got Singapore Comic Con. We have like artists. You can go to Comics SG to see all the different artists. Then have online platforms, so do check them out. And yeah, Viency, you got any last words?
I think I'm good. Yeah, I think I'm okay.
Yeah, okay. So thanks so much everyone for being here today. Yeah, I'm going to pause my mom to say bye to everyone as well.
Bye-bye. Thanks for participating.
Yeah, so okay. The next session is going to be with Singapore Comic Con. We'll be back in a couple, like, you know, 2 minutes. So bye guys.
Bye. See you soon.
Real soon in 2 minutes.